I sometimes wonder if I travel to eat or if I eat to recall my travels. It's a bit of a cliche to mention Proust's Madeleines when you want to describe the way in which smell and taste can evoke a long-forgotten memory more vividly than any picture ever could, but cliches are cliches for a reason. When I arrived at my dad's house in Italy, his garden was covered in roses. I immediately thought of my most recent travels in China, rose cakes in Yunnan and bingfen with rose jam in Chongqing. I decided to try and make rose jam, following a Chinese recipe I found online, so I could recreate bingfen back in Germany. I really want to make some rose jam to have with bingfen when I'm back in Munich, so I can think of China. So it's Chinese bingfen in Germany by way of Italian roses. First, my dad and I went on a hunt for the most fragrant roses. The rose bushes were in late bloom and had lost most of their sweet scent.
Ach, schwamm mal. Das ist nicht gut.
But we managed to gather a selection of petals that still maintained a lovely floral fragrance.
Die riechen? 1 bis 10. Ah, also ähnlich wie die oben.
We then went on to make the rose jam. We plucked the washed petals into a bowl, pounded them, added sugar, and then topped it all off with a spoonful of honey. After 4 days in the fridge, the pounded petals were swollen with their own sweet floral juices, with a pleasant, firm bite, not yielding immediately, but offering a satisfying, almost meaty pectin resistance, like fruit leather. We were very happy with the result. Now, back in Germany, so far away from Italy's lush green mountains, Chongqing's muggy neon streets, or Dali's crisp blue skies, I have a small jar of homemade rose jam in my fridge that can transport me back to any of those places at an instant. And that's the story I wanted to tell you, the story of my dad's rose jam. But if you still have time and want to stay a little longer, you're more than welcome to watch me eat bingfen and listen to Marcel Proust tell the same story, but infinitely better, in Search of Lost Time. Because cliches are cliches for a reason. She sent out for one of those short, plump little cakes called Petites Madeleines, which look as though they had been molded in the fluted scallop of a pilgrim's shell. And soon, mechanically, weary after a dull day with the prospect of a depressing morrow, I raised to my lips a spoonful of the tea in which I had soaked a morsel of the cake. No sooner had the warm liquid and the crumbs with it touched my palate, a shudder ran through my whole body, and I stopped, intent upon the extraordinary changes that were taking place. An exquisite pleasure had invaded my senses, but individual, detached, with no suggestion of its origin. And at once, the vicissitudes of life had become indifferent to me, its disasters innocuous, its brevity illusory. This new sensation having had on me the effect which love has of filling me with a precious essence, or rather, this essence was not in me, it was myself. When, from a long distant past, nothing subsists, after the people are dead, after the things are broken and scattered, still, alone, more fragile but with more vitality, more unsubstantial, more persistent, more faithful, the smell and taste of things remain poised for a long time, like souls, ready to remind us, waiting and hoping for their moment, amid the ruins of all the rest, and bear unfaltering in the tiny and almost impalpable drop of their essence the vast structure of recollection. In that moment, all the flowers in our garden and in Monsieur Swan's park, and the water lilies on the Vivonne, and the good folk of the village and their little dwellings, and the parish church, and the whole of Cambrai and of its surroundings, taking their proper shapes and growing solid, sprang into being, town and gardens alike, all from my cup of tea.